Hi, everyone, and welcome to Strategy into Next Steps, bringing platform engineering to life with a data platform. Today's webinar is sponsored by Portworx and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Keith Ward. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event today. But before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items you need to know to get the most out of this session. First up, we want you to ask questions. You'll find that in the questions box in your webinar control panel. A lot of you have already been telling us where you're logging in from. That is where you want to go to ask those questions. Just keep them coming throughout the event. We're going to have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we go over some of your top questions. Now, that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you might be experiencing. If you do have any issues, a browser refresh is what you want to do first. That'll fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues. If that doesn't work, though, let us know in the Q&A and we will provide further technical assistance. Second, in the handout section of your webinar control panel, right next to that questions box, you'll find some great resources, and I'd especially like to call your attention today to 4 Portworx handouts. They cover a wide range of topics. They're all free, so I encourage you to download all of those Portworx handouts right now and look at them after the event is over. Now, in that handout section, you can also find a link to the Gorilla Guide Book Club where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's huge library of books on a vast array of technology topics. Now, there you'll also find a link to the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events. If you see something you like there, well, why not sign up and get ready for another great event? Okay, third, at the end of this webinar event, we'll be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. It might be you, but you do have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in the handouts section. If you like really dry reading, that might be for you. All right, finally today, as I mentioned earlier, one of the best benefits of this or any Actual Tech Media event is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenters. To help encourage those questions, we have yet another additional prize for you, and that is another $50 gift card from Amazon for the best question. So how that works is after the event's over, we'll look at all the questions that come in, pick out the very best one, and then contact that prize winner. All right, with that, let's get to the main event. Why don't we? I'm ready to get going, and I hope you are too. We've got a fun roundtable discussion coming up with Portworx, and it is going to be featuring Alex Da Silva, a senior DevOps solution architect, and Lue Alam, another senior DevOps solution architect. Gentlemen, it's great to have you here today. Thanks for being with us.
Great, thanks, Keith. Thanks for having us here.
Great.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for the audience for being here with us as well.
So, yeah, if you're ready to go, why don't we just dive right in? Okay, so there's our topic for today, strategy into next steps, bringing platform engineering to life with a data platform. Now, that is a really intriguing title, and I can't wait to see how we're going to unpack that. So let me ask you the first question for the day, and this is for both of you. Platform engineering is a top strategy in 2023, so much so that Gartner has called it one of the top trends for 2024. So going into the new year, it's only going to get bigger. So it seems like platform engineering, according to that data, is the way ahead for application development teams. Given that reality now, is there any kind of a quick start button for a team that wants to adopt platform engineering? I'll throw this open for both of you.
Hey, thanks, Keith. This is Alex. And first of all, thanks all the attendees for participating. And thanks for the opportunity, Keith, to give us to talk about this exciting topic. This is I'm very happy to be here and discuss my experience that I have with several customers in the past years and how they are moving from their DevOps organization organization to a true platform engineering. To answer your question here, I see most organizations today I've been working with, they are starting, or some of them actually implementing platform engineering. Several of them are starting the transition or the evolution from DevOps to platform engineering. I would not say there is a quick start button for that, but organizations should start defining the mission of their platform team and how it can help streamline the development process in their organizations. All about platform engineering is to make easier and quicker for developers to have a platform where they can they can develop applications, deploy these applications without having to worry about any of the infrastructure. The platform engineering team should take care of that. One key aspect that I recommend platform organizations or platform engineering team to do since day one is to include a Kubernetes data platform. Not only developers need a Kubernetes data platform to deploy stateful applications like, for example, databases and stream applications like Kafka that all requires stateful applications, but also several of the platform engineering tools, like, for example, Jenkins, a storage or a database or a data platform is required as well. So this is one key aspect that I always talk to my customers. Make sure that data that includes how you're going to deploy stateful applications. What is your backup policy? What's your disaster recovery policy? Make sure you include that in day one. Luei, what's your take on?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So definitely, platform engineering is picking up, and you and I both been, at this for a very long time, and started, with Kubernetes for over 6 years. So you definitely see the progress moving along from the early DevOps days to now, where the platform really solidified, right? So, and for that matter, you really need, the data platform, in my opinion, is needed for, the developer experience, right? You want to be able to import teams fast, secure, and reliable, right? With data protection and compliance, right? And that's what all organizations are looking for, because they want to accelerate their time to market, right? So as far as like a simple, easy button to click on and just get a platform engineering, it's really a process. You got to define it, and you got to build it, right? And once you build it, it makes the life easier of your DevOps teams, as well as the your end users, as well as and the operators of this platform.
Excellent. Okay, let's get to our next question. So KubeCon, big event, one of the leading in the space, I would say. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And this was very recently in Chicago. And I had heard that they had lots of business innovators, companies like Intuit, Ford, Rivian, at your booth to share insights about better data management with Kubernetes and platform engineering, of course, the subject of our talk today. So can you both tell us a little bit about how your customers successfully streamline data management because of adopting platform engineering and Portworx?
Yes, absolutely. In this specific case, we had a customer that implemented a platform engineer process using Jenkins as their CI tool. They have like JFrog Artifactory for image repository, and they're using Argo for the continuous deployment. Everything was running in AWS, and their Jenkins pod were running in different AWS zones. Their challenge was to ensure zero downtime for their pipeline if an AWS zone becomes unavailable, or if a node in a zone terminates, right? Since EBS volumes are tied to specific zones, in situations like that, customer, they would have to move a pod to a different node in a different zone and copy over the data to EBS volume if a pod or a zone goes down. That was a tedious and manual process and prone to user error as well. So these customers, what they added Portworx as their Kubernetes data platform solution, and that helped them to streamline the process. And now they can achieve a zero downtime for their Jenkins pipeline. Jenkins now is using Portworx volumes, and they keep synced, and Portworx keeps synced copies, replicas of the data in multiple availability zones. So in case if one of the pod fails in one zone, Portworx will automatically move the pod to a different zone where they can continue running their pipeline using the volume replica in that zone. Zero downtime, no manual intervention. It helped them a lot to improve their internal process. I'll hand over to Luay now so he can cover some other examples that he's working with other customers.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So I actually had the luxury of attending, KubeCon this year. And there was a lot of attendance, and there were a lot of solutions out there, right? And as you mentioned, we had some customers at the booth to present and about their experience and how they provided Portworx was the data platform for them to provide them the scalability they need. Because listen, at the end, there are a lot of solutions out there, but not every solution provides you the flexibility to scale your data platform, right? And I'll give you an example of the large automobile manufacturer that we work with. They really have the scale in their environment where they need to scale the clusters on demand, meaning your workload is running, the workload surges because at the time of the day there are certain operations going on, and it surges. Your end users, the developers at the back end, that they're building their applications, they're doing their development, right? It's all about how we remember we talked about is like you improving their experience. So you need something to auto scale for them automatically and without losing a performance. And that's a key point. When you scale an application, you want to maintain the same performance as you scale it. You don't want to, you run your platform, everything runs fine with this very simple one database in your cluster, and everything's run smooth. What happens if you scale that to hundreds? How you're performing, you need the data platform to maintain that performability, right, across while you're scaling. And scaling out and scaling in, that is really a key important that was presented at our booth.
Okay. So what you're both talking about, to me, sounds like great stuff, but it also sounds like it could be complicated. And for a team that decides to transform their operations, in other words, they decide they're going to go to platform engineering, and they decide that's an investment they want to make in time as well as money. That's a big deal. That is a huge undertaking and can be fraught with all kinds of challenges. So given that, what is the most critical thing to start with once you make that commitment to platform engineering?
Yeah, so Keith, as you can see here in the internal developer platform reference architecture here, there are several subgroups. In each subgroups, you can see there are multiple tools options that your platform, that a platform engineering team can choose that will fit their needs and the specifics of their organization, right? So initially, what I would suggest is that the platform engineering team, they need to define the mission of the platform team, define the platform's team's role, and get support from management, right? This is really critical for the success of the platform team. Ideally, if you can get a high-level manager as the sponsor for that team, that would help on the initial implementation as well. After that, I would suggest that the team can start experimenting with these various tools. As you can see, there are dozens of tools in the platform engineering that you can use. And once you start experimenting with these tools, you can choose the ones that better fit your organization needs and the needs of the developers of the organization. Ultimately, the platform engineering is making a infrastructure so developers can easily and quickly develop the applications for the organization, right? A critical point that I want to include here is to define a Kubernetes data management platform in that mix as well. Several of the tools that you can see in this reference architecture, they will require some type of storage, right? And also developers will deploy stateful applications like databases that will need storage. So the process to implement the platform engineer does need to have a Kubernetes data platform included. And obviously, on the customers that we've been working with, they chose Portworx, and we're helping them implementing Portworx as their Kubernetes data platform for their platform engineering journey, right? The process to implement platform engineering itself can be iterative, and you can always improve it. So you don't have to define all the tools or all the processes initially. You can always iterate, get feedbacks from your developer, from others in your team, and keep improving it and adding more tools, and make it easier for the developers to develop the applications, deliver constant delivery, increase the velocity of the delivery of the applications without having the developers worry about all this key infrastructure that the platform engineering will help them to achieve. Luay, what do you think?
Yeah, no, thanks, Alex. Definitely keep, you said it at the beginning of the intro here that time is money, right? And cost saving is driven really everywhere. That's what we hear from all our customers. Everybody, their time, cost saving is important. So you really need the platform that is capable of dynamic and instantaneous volume provisioning that going to save weeks worth of developer time, right? That estimated in to take several weeks of your developer time per app per year. So if you calculate that, and you'll see the cost saving that you're gaining, right? You need to build also the platform that gives you the ability to build an application that is topology aware, as Alex, referenced to earlier on with Intuit use case, right? So you need some application that is topology aware. It knows we have volumes across replicas, so you can automatically deploy your application with failover across AZs without an additional cost that you could get from using zonal disks, for example, and such a thing, right? That could drive, roughly, the 10-30% of the cost, right? You need your application aware to have like snapshots to be able to take snapshots that is application aware of. Use a REST APIs integrated into your application. That is the solid platform that you're looking for with all the above, and that gives you the capacity management to auto scale. As far as your storage, your data platform, and as far as your application persistent usage, right? You want something to be able to fail over that between sites. So this platform that contains all that is what you're looking for. It's a cost saving for your developer end users, and as well as it gives you the performance and the scalability and the day-to operations as far as observability, right? You need a platform to be able to have the telemetry, the observability that you can see what's happening in day two, right? So that is really key important.
So we've been talking a lot about theory, and it sounds great. The whole platform, the auto scaling, all that. What is really nice to do next, though, is to talk about a real world example of how this has happened. So, can you talk to me about a customer, either by name, if you can do that, or anonymously, if it's just not allowed, that is successfully delivering the scale and self-service promised by platform engineering that we've been discussing so far?
Yeah, sure. Um, I've been working with a large financial organization for several months. They have hundreds of developers working on several different critical applications. And this organization, they want to implement a PaaS, a platform as a service solution that includes a Kubernetes data platform. They chose Portworx, and we partnered together, and I helped them to develop a self-service solution that developers could request a Kubernetes cluster or a single namespace if they are using a multi-tenant cluster environment that would quickly provide them the environment they need to start the development. Uh, Using that, once they get the environment, the developers, the users, they can quickly develop their applications. They will use dynamic PVCs for their stateful applications using Portworx, but they don't need to manage, they don't need to understand that Portworx is behind it. The platform engineering team is doing all that work for them, integrating Portworx or this Kubernetes data management platform into their platform engineering process. And we also implemented automatic creation of the volume backups for the user, so they don't have to worry about backing up their own data. Uh, Most of the users, they will deploy their applications, and in a week or in a month or in a year, they're gonna find a problem, lose the data, and they say, "Oh, what do I do now?" Right? With this process in mind, backups are implemented automatically for them. They don't have to worry about. They only need to just request or restore the volumes automatically using some of the Portworx features. So the solution that we gave them with Portworx was like it provide like more resilience and high availability for the applications that they are running, and the developers could easily request backups of the volumes if the data is lost, or if they want to use a previous volume from 1 or 2 weeks ago. This is especially useful if they are doing they want to restore data from a production environment to run on a test environment, for example. You can easily do that when you're using Portworx as your data platform. So it provided a quick and automated way for the customer to do that. The Besides Portworx, we use other tools as well. So everything is deployed using Ansible. So even if they have multiple clusters, they can just kick off an Ansible script and deploy Portworx, create a new cluster, make everything available with just single clicks, right? And everything, like Loy mentioned, everything integrated. They integrated their monitoring solution. They integrated a artifactory. They have used it as well for the storing the images and all this stuff. So it's it's their journey to platform engineering. And like I mentioned in the previous question as well, it's an iterative process, right? It doesn't happen everything all, at the same time. They keep adding more tools, and they keep adding better processes to ensure that the developers can have the platform they need to implement the applications. Louis?
Thanks, Alex. So, listen, we have a very large institution, financial institutional we work with, as Alex mentioned, and I do have another actual financial institution example that I work with for like over 4 years, a very large bank, and we did a lot of automation. But what really was of interest to me is recently a large company that is helping building smart facilities across the world, right? It's not just national; it's international. So, and it's a cloud-based platform that they built it based on the cloud. It's Kubernetes, right? And we work with them at across, now we're talking international, to build a simple platform to really help with one pretty much one click to deploy these clusters and roll out the environment for each facilities, from controlling the thermostat in your at your home, to really lighting the building, the facility building, hospitals, fire extinguishers, all that is really integrated through them. And it was very important to have the environment that you build where secured, right? You want to have you want to enable security in there and have audit logs. You want to, when you take snapshots instantly, you take the backups, and you integrate it with the REST APIs of the deployments, right? That is key, and that's what we help them to deploy. And from monitoring to rolling out applications, to rolling out basically data protections and security, it was all enabled actually via REST API platform. That is nothing really done via just applying YAML files. Everything is 100% API integrated, from rolling out the environment to just running it, as well as far as telemetry and observability and monitoring, which was really key important for them, because they want to be able to monitor this environment 24/7, and they want to be alerted before something wrong takes place, right? Remember, at the end, you do not want you're in a facility building, you do not, a false fire extinguisher, right? That in this facility. You want to be able to have all the monitoring, all the capability, and that platform that supports this. And that's why we're what we integrated, and we work with them closely to work with it for about a year from now. We have been integrating this.
So one of the things I really like about having both of you on specifically is that you're tech guys, I mean, you are DevOps solution architects. So one of your main jobs is to set things up for customers, to determine what the best solution is, and to help implement it. So you're the perfect people to ask this to. Given your experience, what are some of the most frequent challenges you see as teams embark on these missions to establish platform engineering in their environments?
That is a very good question, right? So one of the main challenges I've seen is actually with companies that still have internal organizations into silos, separate silos. Like they have like a completely separate storage team, complete separate network team, complete separate infrastructure team, and this makes the developing an application very challenging, and it actually it slowed down the development process a lot. That's what I've noticed. The decoupling the data from the Kubernetes, it's one of the main points that will decrease the velocity, that will impact the velocity that the applications can be deployed in the organization. Like when your data is decoupled from the Kubernetes platform, there are other teams that have to be involved in application development. So, for example, if you have a database server or on a virtual machines or in a separate bare metal, right, and your applications live in Kubernetes, you have to coordinate with multiple teams to deploy your applications. You have to talk to your security administrator, your network team. You got to go to the storage team to request access. So usually in this situation, the developers, they would have to open internal tickets to get requests, fulfill these tickets can take like hours or even days in some case. So it really impact the development process. What we suggest in that way is that organizations use platform engineering. They empower a single team to deliver the application. So they can use persistent storage, or they can have the Kubernetes data platform using Portworx for their storage needs. They can use Kubernetes secrets or integrate with external secret system like Vault or AWS KMS or any cloud KMS for their secrets. They can use load balancing with the Kubernetes services for their network. They can use Kubernetes network policies for increased security, and applications and database running together in the Kubernetes. That will improve the velocity, and that will eliminate that challenge. But I know it's difficult. Some companies are very rigid on their silos, but that is the main point that I've seen as a challenge to implement platform engineering. What do you think, Luay?
Yeah, definitely, Alex. Thanks for that. And listen, at the end, you see these organizational challenges all the time. You would, to me, there always been an executive sponsor at the top level that brings all the team together and be like, listen, we need to have this flexible infrastructure that is a predicator of team performance, right? You want to have your organizational performance, your operational performance, and your software delivery performance, and that is really the key challenge, right? And so the platform engineering teams, they may say is like, we'll build the environment and wait for them to build it, and they'll come, and that doesn't really happen, right? So you definitely need to have the platform that really gives you and eliminate these solos challenges that Alex mentioned. Having, for example, your storage layer, orchestrated outside your Kubernetes cluster, and not just you presented via connector or any other thing. That presents different challenges, right? So having the single data platform that really gives you the all these solutions that we talked about bundled together in one solution.
Okay. Great. So I want to, before we move on, I want to remind the audience here that there's still time to ask some more questions. We are sort of getting closer to the end, but you do have a few more minutes to send those questions in. So if you've got one that you're ready to ask, go ahead and remember that questions tab there. Okay, next up for you. This is a question I would put in terms of what my kids like to call FOMO. Right? Fear of missing out. So what I mean by that is, what are some of the things that you've seen a team achieve with platform engineering that they would not have been able to do without the power of a platform? In other words, I want you to tell them what they could be missing out on by not, by not switching to this new paradigm, which is kind of the way things are going. So that's a long-winded way of saying, what can they do once they implement this that they can't do without it?
Yes, that's a very good question as well, Keith. Thanks for that. So if you can see here on this slide, there are several, I would say, several topics or several things that a developer would like from a platform engineering team. So developers would want a place that they can do continuous application development. They want a place that they can build resilient enterprise-grade applications. They want to have a place that they can build once and port anywhere, right? A cloud operation model, dynamic, but also takes care of security. The one that I want to emphasize here is actually build once port anywhere and run everywhere. I think this is something that we've been discussing. I've seen a lot of people talking about what they call it cloud neutrality. So if you see, if you decide to use Portworx as your Kubernetes data platform, you are going to have what we call cloud neutrality. You can build any application on top of Portworx. You can use any of the Kubernetes distribution. It can be deployed in any cloud, and it can use any infrastructure for your storage needs. So you can develop your application today using AWS, and then in the near future or in the future, someone can decide, oh, we need to move some things on-prem, for example, on premises. So in this case, Portworx will give you that ability to just migrate your application. We do have that function that you can migrate applications and data from one platform to the other. So we can move from AWS to on-premises or vice versa. You can use our solutions and have clusters in the cloud that can be acted as disaster recovery if your on-premises solution, if your on-premises clusters happen something with on-premises clusters, and vice versa as well. And you can move from different clouds. You can move from AWS to Azure to IBM Cloud to Oracle Cloud. Portworx supports all this type of platforms. So it's the benefit of having this cloud neutrality that you can just worry about. The developer should be concerned about developing the application itself and not concerned about, is it going to run on AWS, is it going to run on premises, is it going to run. The developer doesn't need to worry about that. The platform will give you the variety of options, and they will be able to deploy anywhere. This is what I think is one point that teams need to consider when choosing a Kubernetes data platform for their needs. Luay?
Right. Yeah, thanks, Alex. And so, listen, to me, the platform you choose, you really need to make sure that it is, developer ready, right? So your storage is developer ready. Gives you the flexibility of the infrastructure, whether it is on-prem or you're running on cloud, you're using, JPod storage, you're using storage arrays. So that storage developer need to enhance your developer agility and enable this sort of service. That's really a key point. You do not want your developer spending time opening service request tickets to provide them the storage they need or to develop their application, right? So when you give them the self-service to any storage or data services and cloud data portability with the maximized performance that they need, right? So you want this application to be able to run mission critical, the platform to run mission critical application in the production, right? You're not running it to just test environment. You want it to be at best performance and on demand and scalable. At the same time, you need to ensure the business continuity, right? You want something to give you the RPO you need. Do I have a need for zero RPO in case of a disaster field? I'm okay with a little bit of RPO, like 5-10 minutes. You also need to give your optimized. This is and key important for a lot of organization, and you'll see this is a challenge even for on-prem. Is like you want to optimize your infrastructure cost. And you want to be able to reduce your, if you're running on cloud, you want to be able to reduce your cloud cost, right? And that's key important. So that to me, the platform that you need to look for.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. So before we dive into to questions here, we've got a summary slide up here. And I just want to ask, do you have any final thoughts you want to leave us with before we get into some Q&A?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we, as you can see on this, just want to make sure the audience captures the key points of this webinar, right? When when you're working with your organization to implement platform engineering, right, you need to enable continuous application development for your developers, right? You need to support the application developer in productions, and this support, they developers can port their applications to any cloud, any on premises. It needs to be portable, right? Self-service is very important also in the platform cloud engineering. You want developers to go there, just click a button, and they have their infrastructure without having to open in internal tickets to request storage, to request infrastructure, to request opening firewalls and all this stuff. It needs to be very dynamic, and velocity is very important, right? It needs to be a high available environment where developers don't have to worry about, hey, is my data secure? The platform engineering team needs to provide a secure environment for them. So if something happens, if there's a catastrophe and the data is gone, the platform engineer will have a process to bring down, create a new environment for them very quickly so they can continue the application, right? And security, right? It needs to be a secure environment, so always consider encryption, secure communications, and things like that. So this is what it's important when in your journey to start working on the platform engineering team. Lloyd?
Yeah, to me, I mean, really my final thoughts here is like, listen, at the end, the data platform is really a unified DevOps team and infrastructure team that they both came together and formed this data platform team, right? And to me, as a good friend of mine always said, test freely, meaning, free test everything, right? Anywhere you want it and how you want it, but deploy responsibly. This is really important. You want to test thoroughly everything. Run things in sandbox once, twice, three times. Go through all the options and then deploy responsibly. That is a very key point that I'd like to make here.
Absolutely. And in fact, one of our questions will address that. So to both of you, thanks so much for that presentation and for that discussion. It was really illuminating for a topic that can be difficult. Kubernetes is not easy stuff. None of this is easy, but it is really necessary. So with the time we have left, let's dive into to some of the attendee questions. So we have one here about blue-green deployments. So the question that's being asked is, when you're managing upgrades, can you talk about how customers are avoiding downtime and performing necessary upgrades? Now that's important because downtime is the killer, nowadays more and more for every company.
Yes. We have a solution. I mean, on the customers that we're working, depending on the platform, they could be a couple of ways that they can achieve that, or multiple ways, if you wish. One way that we've been recommending to our customers is that they can use this blue-green type of deployment during upgrade to avoid downtime. So basically, you're going to have your current environment, your blue environment, that is the old one that all your consumers or your users, they are using that, and you can go there and deploy a green environment. Green environment will have the next version of your application, and you don't want any disruption in the blue environment while you're doing the green. But Portworx can help with migrating all the application and the data from one environment to the other without any disruption. So once the green environment is up and running, ready, you can just switch a button for a load balancer and move all your users to the green environment. So this is something that we have several customers using. It's very useful and helpful, and most importantly, it does not disrupt the usage of the application. Users will not notice that they are now using a new application, or they may notice because there could be new features, but there's no disruptions on that.
Right. That's a great feature to have. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I just want to add, one here. You brought up a good question, Keith, actually, and yesterday, 2 days ago, to be exact, right uh, on Tuesday morning, my mornings is like a colleague of mine were working with a customer, and they really want to do exactly just that. They unfortunately, when you're running in Kubernetes, if you're on a certain release of Kubernetes and you want to go jump 2, 3, 4 releases, there is no a simple path to upgrade, right? So without having multiple hoops between releases to get the target release. And one of the use cases they had, they actually wanted to move from a Kubernetes, an early on Kubernetes release to a most recent one, which is like 5 releases behind. And to accomplish that in one stop, you have to basically build a new cluster with the new environment that you're looking for, or if you have one already in there, you want to move your applications to it, right? And you want to expand it, and they wanted to avoid the downtime, basically because it's a lot of data. It's the amount, they had gigs, and some instances they had terabytes of data that they need to move over that their old cluster is using. So one way we work with them is like we really extended that cluster underneath Portworx to the new cluster they just built, right? And we basically just added the replicas, we call them volume replicas, on the new cluster, and then we shifted the application deployment to start using the replicas on the new cluster. And this has accomplished without really having a downtime. Basically, what their end users saw is just an application retry timeout till when the application got restarted, moved from cluster A in the old environment to cluster B. So this is, again, when you build you get your data platform, you need to think about all these operations for day two that may hit you right down the road. So you have to be thoughtful and of these things, and you need to choose wisely the platform that is going to support all the use cases you may encounter.
100%. Yeah, no doubt about that. Okay, I think we have time for one more question here for both of you, and I really like this one. I want to get your thoughts on this. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see companies make when they start undertaking this kind of a transition? Are there one or two things that you see happening over and over again that companies are doing wrong?
You gonna take that, Lay?
Yeah. So one thing actually I've seen, over and over, uh, a lot of companies they deploy, and then the data protection is like thought of it, treated as like afterthought for everybody. I was like, oh, what do we do? We had actually, I've seen it with a lot of customers. Is like they encountered disaster. Basically, somebody can easily fat finger something and lose data without intention, right? You delete something I did not mean to do, and there is, once you delete stuff, there is no undo button, right? So you want the data platform that gives you the capability to do disaster recovery across regions, across cloud, and even on-prem across data centers, right? As well as giving you the capability to provide the on-demand backups and restore. And one key feature I really like, specifically with Portworx in that regard, from the data protection, we have something called trash can. It's literally your trash can on your laptop. You delete your volume, right, for whatever reason, the data is gone, and we have this nifty feature that we really developed this based on all the issues we saw with the customer, and it goes to the trash can. You can go back, you notice this later on, and then an hour later, oops, I did this mistakenly. you can basically go to that trash can and just restore the volume, and your data is there, nothing is gone, and that was really a saving feature for a lot of customers. So that is really data protection is always afterthought for a lot of companies. They don't really think about it from the get go until something happens, and when something happens, we'll be like, what do we do? So really think about everything clearly before you do.
Yes,
I love
just
track. Go ahead.
yeah, just a quick other point that I've seen some customers missing is monitoring. So monitoring is all important from day one. I mean, we get you get several tools and Portworx, including a very easy to integrate with Prometheus, for example. But we've seen customers not doing that, and they're not monitoring, they're not managing. You need monitoring not just to manage, but also to understand our metrics and understanding how the environment is performing, where can you improve, and all this stuff. This is a very important point that I would recommend also people to do that as well.
And it's sometimes it seems like, can we afford another tool? Can we have another thing to manage? But think about the effects if you don't have something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Lou, I love the idea of the trash can. What I was thinking about in terms of an analogy when you were talking about that was kind of the get out of jail free card, right? In Monopoly, you make a mistake and there you go. And, you go back to where you were. You haven't lost anything after all.
Yep.
No, definitely. Trust me. It's like it happened. It literally, I work with customers and, they really mistakenly, it's easy in Kubernetes, if you're not, careful to sometimes, to delete stuff without even noticing. Now there are a lot of key, things that get deployed, like, a single source of truth in Kubernetes that protects against, these things. But it really that a lot of customers were in the early days on too. They went through this and they really had to go through a lot of hoops just to get the stuff back for them.
Absolutely. Okay, gentlemen, this has been fascinating. One final question, not an audience question, but one I'm asking you. Given all the interest that you're generating now, and I'm going to put up another slide here, for customers or potential customers who want to take the next step with Portworx, what do you recommend they do? Now, we've got the QR code up and we also have the handouts, but what would you recommend they do right after this event ends in just a few more minutes?
Go to our website.
Yeah,
download. Go to our website. They go to our website and you can download and install Portworx. Portworx comes with a 30-day trial license, no strings attached. You don't want it to put any credit card number. You don't want it to put even your name. Just go there, download it, and play with Portworx. You can do that. Same with the PX Backup, which is also another product from our portfolio. You can go to our website or central.portworx.com and you can play with all our tools free of charge for trial periods. We even have an offering that is free forever for developers if they want to use it.
And definitely, so there's also what Alex mentioned. We do have some lab drivens. If you do not have, your clusters or Kubernetes cluster where to deploy them, we do have the online labs. They're really pretty cool, and it walks you through a lot of the use cases we talked about early on. So if you go to central.portworx.com or click on that link you have there, and it will walk you through their hands-on labs that you can walk through and just experience this for yourself.
So lots of ways to kick the tires and test drive the car, right? As a writer, I love analogies and I love all the different ways you have to try out Portworx and see if it's the solution, that you're looking for. Lou and Alex, it's been so much fun to have you on today. Thank you for your time and for your insights into Portworx.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith. Thanks for the audience here for being here with us. It was truly a pleasure.
Yeah, you folks are the best. What can I say? You attendees are the reason we do this, and you were great today. Now, before we wrap up, I want to get to the last thing here before we get to the very end, and that is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, you do have to be present for the entire event to be eligible. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card for this event today is Josh Soga from Nevada. Congratulations to you, Josh. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, folks, we are wrapped for today. On behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Portworx for making this event possible. And thanks to all of you attendees for being here, for your questions, for your interest in this topic and this event. This concludes everything. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, one final note here. I'm going to be playing a video from Portworx that'll give you a little bit more information. There is no audio with that, so nothing has gone wrong with your computer or your speakers. This one is just video only. Have a great day. I will look forward to seeing you in the next event.